The Transgender Bill of Rights has been proposed by Democrats, who are ludicrous, and they're deciding that this is going to revamp all of civil rights legislation in the US, so that transgender people can have the right to... What?
Do we need more civil rights legislation? Because civil rights was basically just, here's all of these privileges for you.
Well, what is a right, obviously, is the question. And a transgender's right to what exactly? And, well...
To trans your kids.
Well, it's to invade women's spaces, frankly. That is the right that they're asking for, and we'll see it in the issues here. But I'll start off just with the promotion, as usual. Of course, this being the Loudoun County School Board Coverup, which is when, the local school board decided that it was a transgender person's right to go into the girls' bathrooms, and then... Well, they raped one of the girls, and then they tried to cover it up because it would have been an embarrassment to LGBT ideology. So go and check that out on the website, and also it'll be really relevant to what we're going to talk about today. So we'll start off with the announcement, as you can see here, from Representative Jayapal. I'm going to butcher the names, but whatever. In which she promotes the unveiling of the Transgender Bill of Rights in response to Roe v. Wade being taken away, which will make sense in a minute. Trust me. Of course, she's a she-her Democrat in the bio, and also she's from Washington State. So thought we'd just for a second check out the kind of culture that Washington has, of course, around Portland and Seattle. And if you go to the next one here, you can see, this is a local football game, in which we have from Stonewall with a brick and Portland with an axe. Respect our pride, or expect our wrath. And out of the fans rise this cartoon image of a little cat there with an axe. Just so the message isn't lost on you.
This is just a threat. This is incitement to violence, surely, but I suppose they can get away with it.
Respect our southern pride or expect our wrath? I mean, it sounds like the Klan, but okay. The poster, the woman who posted this there, also describes herself as an ally, she, her, of course.
Well, I mean, of course she's got an ally, you can tell, because of the axe.
Yeah, but I also love
if they've got a weapon in hand.
That's always been the joke, what do you need allies for? Well, war. Okay, well, when they're threatening to chop off your head.
Do you even know what that cartoon character was?
I don't remember. But
it just looks like a blue cat.
You can see the tolerance swastika in the corner there, the 3 arrows as well, and that's because, well, this place is used by Antifa a lot.
Yeah, I can also see along the edges of the field down there, they've got trans flags.
Yeah, it's what you'd expect from this place. But if we go back to the Bill of Rights, because what kind of culture does this produce, at least in legislation? And we can see it firsthand. As you can see here, this is Pink News. The holy outlet for Pride Month, and on Pride as well.
Come here for a sermon, have we?
In which they'll put it in their language, and then we'll, actually translate it, because, of course, well, they have to obfuscate what they're actually doing. So they say in here, Democrats propose Trans Bill of Rights to ensure Americans that they can live full and happy lives at the expense of anyone else. 5 Democrats are hoping to codify into law a new 2020 Supreme Court, after the 2020 Supreme Court ruling that found the landmark civil rights law to protect LGBTQ plus workers from discrimination. So the idea being that Roe v. Wade has taken away abortion, and that's an attack on LGBTQ people, which... no. The opposite.
I always see an inherent contradiction in this sort of legislation, primarily because if you're a trans person and you so desperately don't want to be discriminated against, I know the reasons for this, but let me ask the question first. Why would you want to work for someone who would discriminate against you if only it weren't for the law forcing them not to? Surely that would be a hostile work environment. But of course, it's all about getting people to submit to the ideology.
It's a very weird understanding. But I love that this is mainly in response to Roe v. Wade, but it also has, of course, they say, also in response to Bostock versus Clayton County, which was taken place when it was legal for half of US states to fire employees for being LGBTQ+. Pink News right at the start there. I love the idea that until 2019 as well, you could just be fired for being gay, and businesses, if they did that, they would just up in profits, presumably.
I mean, stocks go up.
Why else would they be doing it? I was like, no, that wasn't reality. Like, everyone knows in 2019, if you did that, like, the business would be... the PR of it.
Just imagine the board of directors just sitting around staring at the graphs going, oh no, our stocks are going down, what do we need to do? Quick, fire the gays, we need to fire more gays!
That'll make more people shop here, trust me. Like, that wasn't happening. So, I just find it weird that people think that, oh no, now we've made it illegal. Now we've solved the problem.
Peter Thiel just there like, I must fire myself.
The problem is already solved by society, to be honest, but whatever. They say, now in an America on the edge, after Supreme Court justices overruled Roe v. Wade, the House of Representatives is scrambling to ensure trans people don't have their rights scrapped next by the court. And obviously a right to what? Because, again, in response to abortion, it's like, damn, abortions have been made illegal in some states. therefore LGBTQ people are under attack. I was like, well, not the L's. Not the G's. Maybe the B's?
Maybe. I mean, most of them are just straight anyway, let's be honest.
So, don't much sense, but they say the resolution would amend the 1964 Civil Rights Act to explicitly include protections for gender identity and sex characteristics. Gender-affirming healthcare, as they call it, would be greatly expanded, and the right to abortion and contraception codified into law. So, they're going to make sex reassignment surgery, well, the norm. Something you can get. Presumably, Fed will pay for it as well.
Which means you will pay for it.
Because if it's a right, well, then government has to pay for it, obviously. So then the taxpayer has to pay for it. They're also going to make abortion legal, which is a hot LGBT issue. I don't know. Okay, fine. I mean, at least they're trying through, lawmakers instead of just subverting the courts for once on that front. But then also contraception, which presumably will also be paid by taxpayers, which... That's what they say they're going to do. The Attorney General would also be required to appoint a liaison within the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, and also to invest in the enforcement of civil rights for trans people as part of the law, while better funding for community services and mental health services will be dispensed to curb anti-trans violence. I don't know what that means.
Well, it means we're going to launder more money through community services.
But that's the thing, to stop anti-trans violence, we're going to deal with the mental health problem. Like, okay. Sounds a bit coded.
But who's
sounds a bit transphobic, but...
Yeah, whose mental health problems? And of course, just to point out, better funding will not mean better services, because it never does.
No. The proposal would also ban conversion therapy, but obviously only in one direction. If you want to convert someone to being trans, do what you want. Above all, the Trans Bill of Rights has a simple aim: to ensure trans people live full and happy lives, said Washington Representative blah-de-blah. Good luck with that. I mean, I love it. I mean, I really do love the whole, trans people essentially live in the Holocaust 2.0 in every place in the world, even everywhere in the West. And until we suddenly reach the day where they're accepted, then they'll stop being 42%ers.
And you can tell that we're in Holocaust 2.0 because just like in Germany, Germany also passed anti-Semitic legislation, didn't they? Wait, that may not have been the case.
But it's just the absurdity of right, this time, this law, this will change it. Now everyone in the trans, space will be happy instead of upset constantly. It's no, I don't believe
Perhaps the issues to do with trans people's mental health comes more from internal than external factors.
Certainly in the West. I mean, this is not Iran, so... I hate that narrative. But the bill's sponsor says, you have seen the laws in Florida that don't say gay laws, the laws criminalizing parents who just want to provide gender-affirming care to our kids. Right, so that's what she's mad about. She's mad that you can't groom kids.
Yeah, she's mad that parents who desperately want to groom their kids aren't able to right now.
Yeah.
In some states, in some circumstances.
I mean, she says the don't say gay law, the anti-grooming bill. It is accurately described by anyone who's read it. Quote, "We are going to stand up against the Supreme Court's attempts to strip away the rights of trans folks on top of abortion rights," she added. Literally not right. I don't know what to say. Also, the idea that trans people have a right, again, a right to what exactly?
This is the action of somebody who is in charge, who is at the top of this... victimhood hierarchy, flailing around as they realise, oh crap, we've been rumbled, boys.
Yeah, but I just love the narrative of transgender rights are under attack. Again, a right to what? Exactly, specifically. Nail it down. And of course, Pink News didn't really enlighten us much as to what specific rights they think are being taken away from them, which is, for example, abortions for men have been taken away, which they're going to bring back.
My right to choose is gone?
Men's rights to abortion are coming back. As you can see here from Keep Prison Single Sex USA, I've met the UK version of that, she's lovely. But so this is an individual who's just joined up looking at the bill. Let's have a look at what's in it. Codifying Roe v. Wade, guaranteeing the right to abortion, and codifying the right to reproductive health care such as birth control and fertility treatments for everyone, including transgender and non-binary people.
Well, I mean, you could just specify women, biologically.
You could if you were just doing it for women, of course. But it now includes men. Men have a right to an abortion.
But what about all those mentally ill biological women?
I don't know what to do. But I love it. They're just if we pass this, men are also going to have their rights to abortion. So can we finally have an opinion on it?
I suppose so. So I suppose, I could say, would that mean I can now say your body, my choice? I mean, it's in the legislation, honey. What are you supposed to do?
And also non-binary people, of course, which don't exist. I'm not even going to argue that.
Wait.
I'm very much on the Douglas Murray point of view that there's just look at the gender.
Wait, could a biological man identify as a transgender man for these purposes? Because, like, I don't think that's something that's been really explored in this. Can I identify?
I've never thought of that.
Can I identify as a biological woman who identifies as a man and therefore have all the rights to talk about female issues?
I mean, you can identify as a bird, so yeah, I feel like you could.
There
I
you
don't
go.
know what would stop you in progressive land. So,
I mean, there's no rules against it, so I'm a transgender man now.
But anyway, good news, boys. We're getting all our abortions back.
Finally.
If you get the next one here, you can all see it also. The bill is going to ban female-only shelters. Wonderful, very progressive. Glad that we're striving towards the future, as if this is something ever desirable. Anything that could be called the future or progress. If you get the next one as well, we also have the fact that it's going to ban female-only toilets and changing rooms and dorm rooms, because that's so 2019. It's got to go. So there you have it. That's the proposal in the bill as well. And if you go to the next one, they have one of the funniest ones. They start off by saying, "We must recognise the right to bodily autonomy and ethical healthcare for transgender and non-binary people." Which I'm just going to stop there. I mean, could you ever imagine the old, COVID fanatics talking about ethical healthcare or bodily autonomy?
And I think in the next segment that we'll get to, it'll be clear that what this healthcare is, this medical care, is less than ethical.
Yeah. No, they describe it in here. They will enforce prohibitions on discrimination in the provision of healthcare on a basis of sex, including the basis of actual or perceived gender identity or sex characteristics. Which means, of course, the doctors must believe that this man in front of them is able to give birth.
Bake the cake, bigot.
Yeah, and is also to have periods. I mean, I don't know what the point in that is, that statement, because the idea that you've just got to accept. Although also I'm weirded out by the fact that they say, on the basis of actual or perceived gender identity.
That's interesting, isn't it?
What does that mean? I mean, presumably they define the actual as what's in the individual's head.
Yeah, but that's also perception. So it's conflating the two. They're using the two terms as though they're separate, even though in progressive language they mean the same thing.
Like, perception and the actual reality are the same thing according to them. But then why did you separate them? Presumably because, well, you've got to write in English still. Otherwise, you just sound as you do. But if you go to the next one here, just to mention real quick, we'll come back to this in your segment, of course, but just to mention that this is real as well. I mean, like, to think that if this passes, this won't happen. This already happens in the UK. Fellow Yankees. As you can see here, now the NHS quietly removes the word woman from its menopause page. This is real. The NHS has a page advising, the people of Britain.
I mean, we don't want to suggest the menopauses only happen to women.
No, of course, it happens to men too. Of all stripes. At least that's how it's left now. So the idea that this won't end up happening in the healthcare system, yeah, it will. It absolutely will. If passed, this will just become the norm, as it already is in other places in the world. If we go back to the thread, though, there's some other funny stuff in there. They say they also will eliminate unnecessary government restrictions on the provision and access to gender-affirming medical care for adolescents and children. So any restrictions to destroying a child, get rid of them. Well, otherwise, it's anti-LGBTQ, of course. I mean, it is a real mask-off moment where they're just, okay, we've written a bill. It's the civil rights for trans people. We've got a right to molest and groom and to mess up kids. Okay. I mean, I'm not on your team, whatever team that is. I mean, we are going to get rid of all restrictions that they just to say are unnecessary, which means all of them, to, well, sex changes for children.
Do we know when this bill that they're going to be trying to pass this?
So this is 5 Democrats in the, I believe it's in the Congress have brought this through, and then they're going to be voting on it, presumably in the next couple of months or something.
Okay, hopefully this doesn't get through.
No, but I just can't get over the proposal. I mean, it is nice to see them just openly saying, we are the evil people in, well, legal texts.
We are trying to corrupt your children. Here it is in legislation.
Yes, this is what our future looks like under us. Like, yeah, great. Fantastic.
Prosperity for all.
Yeah, and there they go on. If we go to the next one here. They also say that they will eliminate the requirement to list gender on state identification at the end there. But then they also say they want to allow you to place an X in place of gender as well, even though they've already eliminated the line that shows your gender, except it doesn't show your gender, does it? I mean, as John has pointed out many times, if you get your British passport, I'm pretty sure it's the same on American identification too. What does it say?
It says sex.
It says sex, which is
says
biological.
That dirty word that none of us want to think about nowadays.
Yeah. In which case, even if you put an X, that doesn't mean anything. We all know what your sex is. Like, that's still the case.
And the only people who should be keeping sex out of their mind are the rohos.
They also say they will eliminate gender identification requirements on government documents that are unnecessary to determine the identity of the holder. I don't know what the language is here, because at the same time try and argue, well, we must be able to determine what's on the card to show you, and then you must believe the card, not your lying eyes, of course. But then also, it's unnecessary to determine it because you can just believe us and your lying eyes. But then also, we don't even need it on the card. I mean, you can see this is just frantically written in, confused language, to say the least. Just to be like, yes, we're having a transgender Bill of Rights. It doesn't make any goddamn sense, even in their own requirements.
If you get people to believe absurdities, you can get them to commit, very bad things.
Yeah. There's also the fact in here, as you go to the next one, they also say they're going to integrate the prisons, essentially. Fantastic. Nothing could go wrong there. We'll have men and women.
Because it's been shown to have such a glowing track record so far.
I also love how, I think it was under like the Victorians or something in Britain, we used to actually have mixed prisons.
And then we realised it was a terrible idea, I'm guessing?
Yeah, quite a lot of rape. So, and then it was the progressive and forward-thinking thing to do, to be like, yeah, maybe we should try and stop rapes. So, segregate the sexes, and now we're going back to it again, at least as proposed by the, wonderful progressives who are bringing us such a future. And if we go to the next one here, we just have just the last bit they mention, which, I mean, as the individual writes, just utopian. I mean, these people really are beyond reach. Right here, the actions listed above are only the first steps towards transgender equality.
We need to crush your rights more to make us all more equal.
But also, all the things they've listed there is essentially, you must accept what I tell you, not your lying eyes, not the lying government identification, not the lying doctor who pointed out that, you're a man or a woman, obviously, by your DNA. But instead, these things, even though we've already got to the point of, we're going to integrate the prisons, we're going to be able to groom your kids, and you have to accept whatever the hell we tell you, that's the first step. The rest of the steps.
And this is a very long-form way of these people coming out and agreeing that, yes, they really are evil and want to diddle your kids.
Yeah. But they continue, the federal government must take an ongoing commitment to the rights of transgender and non-binary people, and policies concerning transgender rights must be led and informed by the transgender communities. I mean,
because they've got such good judgment, haven't they?
Yeah, but also just the utopian nature of it, I don't think is something not to dwell on. I mean, the idea that this time, it wasn't real socialism last time, so we'll try it again, bro. We will eventually get to the holy paradise, what they're trying to get to. I mean, it really is the same language every single time, instead of, learning to live with reality. I mean, I also love the fact that just, we're almost there, bro. Except that, of course, this bill may also almost be there, because where else is it going to go? Well, if we get the next one here, we can see Libs of TikTok, which obviously produces Democrat legislation before it's legislation. And we have an individual here who identifies as a bird.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, I should have clipped this, but I wonder if we can play it as well, just because it's, obviously mad. But let's enjoy the madness whilst we're here.
Hi, my name is Cameron, and I'm a member of our DID system. So Avery and I are both birds. I am a cardinal, and Avery is a blue jay. We like AM air pronouns in particular because they feel even further removed from gender than they, them, theirs. And being birds, while we do have our own gender expression, we don't inherently have a gender at all. And not in the way that, we're just non-binary. It's that, our species as, an avian-human hybrid does not inherently have any kind of gender at all. So you use them just like singular pronouns, like he, him, or she, her. Spelling and pronunciation-wise, it's like they, them, theirs without the TH at the beginning. So the best way I think to practice is to write out a couple of short sentences using he, him, his, and himself, and then go back through and erase all of those pronouns and fill them in with am, air, self.
She's giving me homework. Jesus Christ. The aggressive feminization of public discourse has been a disaster for the human race, as far as I'm concerned. This whole idea of, let's just give everything to these people because they're so marginalized and they're so sad.
But don't you know the avian human hybrids are not getting the rights they deserve?
And she even said at the beginning she's part of the DID system, the dissociative identity disorder, that I would assume that means. And I assume Avery is her alternate personality. And there's some debate as to whether DID is a real quantifiable thing in the first place. But why would I listen to anything this woman has to say if she's got all these voices bumping around her head telling her, no, you're actually a bird. I mean, ooh, cuckoo.
I remember listening. Do you remember that debate Ben Shapiro had when, what was it, Caitlyn Jenner first came out? And of course,
yeah.
He went on TV and was like, yeah, my uncle used to think the radio was talking to him. And, we got him to a ward and got him fixed.
Yeah, there you go.
We didn't just agree that the radio was talking to him. And everyone laughed and said, oh, come on. This won't lead to this. Yeah, well.
I also like the idea that TikTok is just where Democrats are getting all their policy positions from. Yeah. They're just flicking through TikTok and, oh, that's a good one. Birds, yeah, that's what we go for next.
So presumably, as they say, these are just the first steps of a bill that will bring true equality to the community. Well, presumably the bird people have been left out.
She seems oppressed, and honestly, the urge to bully is immense when I look at these people.
Don't do anything of the sort, of course.
Not physically, of course.
No, not anything at all, because otherwise YouTube would be mad. But anyway, just to end on that, because the utopian language at the end of that bill, which is just like, the future will finally come, and I just wanted to mention, it really is. I mean, I listen to a lot of North Korean propaganda, as we've spoken about, but some of the language in the North Korean propaganda really is the same thing as you can see in this language that gets used in these bills. Like, one day we'll finally get there. I mean, if you listen to any North Korean song, it's like, we have nothing to envy in the world. We're going to reach socialism one day, boys. And you get it exactly the same in the intersectionals when they speak of identitarian end
Kim
world.
Jong-il will lead us into that glorious future. Kim Jong-un will lead us into that glorious future. Who's the next guy?
Caitlyn. Anyway, so that's the Transgender Bill of Rights, which will give transgender people the right to do whatever they want all the time, I guess.
Thank you for watching that segment from the podcast Lotus Eaters. If you enjoyed that, you can sign up to become a member on our website and access our premium content. For instance, this recent Epochs from Carl and Bo, where they talk about Alfred the Great. If you're interested in following us on social media, you can find us on Getter at lotuseaters_com. Thank you and goodbye.